Good evening and welcome to the Next Gen Season 18 Power Maxed Group A1 League. We are live for round number 7 and we're here at Brands Hatch GP where we have a 4 reverse grid. That means the whole championship table turns on its head for the grid of this race, which means whoever is first in the league starts at the back. However, a point to note, any fillers that come in, which I don't think we have any tonight, will be starting at the back. Because this qualifying session is not really a qualifying session, my good friend and host Jack has come to join me in commentary for 10 minutes.
Hello everyone, it's been a while, Jordan, it's nice to be back.
Yeah, well, you've mainly been outside the top 4 for the qualifying reverse grid, so it's nice to finally have you back in here, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first time, I think it's the first time ever I've not been on the absolute back row. I've got a very fast starting Bruce Lee next to me on the grid in the Merc, which is always fantastic off the line. I've got Les in the Ford, obviously, and Steve in the Nissan. That's 4 fish, so I should only lose 1 spot at the start, but there's no guarantee.
Let's remind ourselves of the tables. Let's have a look. Next Gen Les, he's just in the pits. He's probably not going to bother qualifying. No need to. He's starting at the back of the pack because he is leading this title by a single point. He is on 94 points. 4 Fish is on 93. Not too far, about 12 points behind that is Bruce Lee Harding. He's on 81 points. Jack is 1 point behind him on 80. D Whitehouse 7 is on 64. Randy Matt 61. Cam 123 Diz on 55. Traumatic Dave 54. Shadow Stalker has 45 with GT5 Vass on 38. Now we know Cam and Vass haven't been able to attend every race, which is why they're further down the order than you would normally associate them with, as Jack decides to go for a massive spin out of Graham Hill Bend. Tim has 36 points, Wavy's Johnny on 32, Bob on 19, AMH has 15, RS Jim 12, and Ultramatum on 3. As I said, we're at Brands Hatch Indy. It's a 1.208 mile circuit. It's got about 6 corners, 4 to the right, 2 to the left, and a main straight which isn't really straight. Based in Kent, England. I'm sure Jack will happily take us on a lap round here at some point during the session.
I will do indeed. I've just pulled over to the side, so I'll tell you when to cut back to us and I'll do an on board.
There's 4 Fish in the Napalex number 12 Nissan GTR. I mean, that is even though he's starting out on the back row, that is a contender to potentially win this race.
Yeah, definitely, especially with 9 of us in for tonight. Obviously, we're missing a good few across the board, but it's going to be a very much so a contender, Jordan. Like you said, I think Steve, 4 Fish as he's known, he's got a lot of work to do. He'll probably be last off the line because the Nissan's not particularly great at launching. He's just coming up behind me now. I'm about to launch myself, so I don't know if you want to take on board with us.
Well, we're on board with your roof.
Alright then.
Just don't roll it.
I won't. So, heading down towards turn 1, known as Paddock Hill. I've got Ford on the inside of me. It was Les that actually who's gone out set lap time. 3rd gear on this one. The car can be quite planted as we come in towards. Am I right in saying Druids, Jordan?
Druids, cool.
And it's the 2nd gear for this one. The Ford will want to naturally oversteer. You probably can hear me sawing away at the wheel. Up to 3rd, down into 2nd again for Graham Hill Bend. 3rd gear through the corner. Car wants to go all over that curb. We're going to flit left, right, which is 4th, maybe downshifted to 3rd if you want to be on the red band. It's up to you. Personal preference is 3rd. Then down to 2nd for the final corner. Big slide coming out of it and into the pits.
Let's have a go. Bob, where is Bob? So, on board with Bob Mark 1, and you can see that horrible antenna on the top of the Audi. Really annoying if you drive on that view, because you genuinely see that, and I know because I drive on this view. So obviously Jack's taking you in a lap in the Sierra. Let's go in a four-wheel drive car then with Bob. So we'll do across the line, down the Brabham straight. Now remember, we're going to go flat out with Bob here. So into Paddock Hill, drops it to third, slightly late apex, getting the... just squaring the corner up slightly to get the power on. Back up the hill towards Druids. Down to second now. The Audi again, he's squaring the corner up because he knows the four-wheel drive will give him good grip. Into Graham Hill Bend, does he drop it to second? No, he keeps it third. He does run a bit wide, so maybe second to get the front end to bite in would be a little bit better. Down the Cooper Straight and into Surtees, as Jack said, a flick left, flick right. A little bit of confidence lifting from Bob to make sure the car gets through safely. Into Clark Curve, third gear, use the four-wheel drive, and down the Brabham straight once again. And we have 3 minutes 50 of a non-qualifying qualifying session.
There's a bit of a peculiar line through Druids on that lap, Jordan, when Bob turned in. He was normally quite far over to the left-hand side. I mean, I'm just watching him now as he goes on the brakes. That's the normal line. He was a bit over to the middle of the circuit when he went in for that first lap. So he's got a good lap. He's definitely consistent. Just as a sticker, he goes wide at Graham Hill. Sorry, Bob, for the commentator's curse.
I think what Bob's doing, I think he just needs to drop to second for Graham Hill Bend, because I think in third the car just doesn't bite as much. Because obviously with third you got such low revs, the car doesn't really, you'll feel a bit sluggish, I think. So I think seconds, just build the revs up, make the front end bite a bit more through Graham Hill, and I think Bob could set a slightly quicker time than a 49.5 or 49.4, which he has set.
Yeah, he could do. I don't think there's you can see where the time can be gained. But I'll be honest with you, Bob is not far off the pace of the Ford that I was setting in practice. It's not far away. Obviously, as he goes 1-4 up, it's a better line than he's done before, definitely. But Bob, yeah, he's not far away, as I was saying, from the practice times of my Ford. He's gone half a second quicker, so now he's right on it.
Graham, I tell you, the line through Graham Hill was a lot better. He's managed to get on that throttle that bit earlier, and it does you the world of good. So we're looking at a 48 then for Bob if he's got a decent end. I'm surprised he's going out wide. Normally on a fast lap you tend to stay right hand side because that is the shortest way to the line. But a 49.073 for Bob as he continues to lap and get more practice than anyone else.
Yeah, and he's just dumped it down into second gear for Druids. See how these lines look this time. Now that's a lot better.
That's better, yeah. Just getting it turned in a little bit earlier to make the front end bite in third. Obviously not wanting to bring it down to second. Maybe in second it just revs a bit too much.
I think Bob is roughly 4 or 5 tenths off. I think the fastest pace of the Ford. Obviously I don't know what Les is doing, although as I say that Les is now P5 for some bizarre reason, and that's a wall for Bob. So he's happy with his qualifying. Les has made a mistake. He's starting 5th, so he's going to have to drop to the back, which is not
Shadow
ideal.
Stalker's playing the trying to become the new DK through Paddock Hill Bend. Lovely little bit of drifting from the Audi man.
So quickly send Les a message to say drop to back at start.
So we've got Bob in an Audi, Tim in a Nissan, so that's going to go slightly backwards off the start line. But again, it could be quite a quick car for Tim. I mean, Tim's got a good shot of a decent result here tonight in that car. He's just got to keep that consistency.
Yeah, absolutely, Jordan. He's got the four-wheel drive. His lap time, he's obviously been able to do a little bit of a quicker lap than he would have done normally, as he's done a 54. Yeah, I think the track is going to be interesting in terms of how it evolves. I think the four-wheel drive cars we're looking at, the Audis in particular, are going to have a very good tyre advantage during the race. I know the Ford chews its tyres as seasons have gone by, so this will be an interesting one.
Well, that's your qualifying, not qualifying over. Now, being Turbo Monday, you get a point for that, but normally you get a point for pole. Now, I believe I might have to go get a bit of paper for this, won't I, Jack?
You will.
Because on a night like tonight, the person who leads the most laps will take that coveted pole position point away. I mean, Bob would be delighted if he could just have it because he's on pole position by default, but
he will get the point. He will get the official stat for being on pole position. Will Bob? His second ever, funnily enough. Also, last time as a reverse grid. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit, Jordan.
Yeah, good luck, Jack. So we'll run through. We'll run through the grid quickly, even though it's pretty obvious. Bob Mark 1 starts us off in pole position with Tim joining him on the front row. Shadow Stalker is leading row 2 with Traumatic Dave alongside. Row 3 should be D Whitehouse 7 and Jack TM53 Synopsis. Row 4 should have been Bruce Lee Harding Fullfish. Les should be at the back of the pack. Watch him to go to the back at the start of the race, as he has just misjudged his pace there a little bit too much. So just going to write everyone's name down before we get underway, so I've got something to tally up some laps. So then, it's 1.2 miles of Brands Hatch Indy. It's 25 laps. Bob's on pole position. We sink in and we go for the 3 red lights. We're green at Brands Hatch Indy. Who's got the best getaway? Looks like Jack's got a decent getaway. Les. Oh, Traumatic Dave is round. Too much throttle at the start there on the cambered start-finish line. But Tim down the inside. Bob goes into the gravel through Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, Bob gets another little nudge from an Audi. I believe that was D Whitehouse 7 into Druids for the first time. Shadow Stalker leads from Tim 78. Bruce Lee Harding and Jack side by side. That looks like Bob Mark 1 going backwards. Yes, he's had a bit of a moment out of Graham Hill Bend. Everyone's just calmed down a little bit as they go through Surtees. But it's going to be Shadow Stalker DBS who leads the first lap here at Brands Hatch. D Whitehouse has got past Tim, and here comes Jack down the inside. Oh, D Whitehouse has gone wide. D Whitehouse 7 off at Paddock Hill Bend, just a bit of understeer. Couldn't quite get the car slowed down enough, and Fourfish through into 5th place. Next Gen Les not too far behind, but it puts Jack now up into 2nd place. Bruce Lee Harding in 4th, looking for a way past Tim in that GTR. Tim gets a little bit of a wiggle coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Almost allowing Fourfish through as well. Someone a bit wide there, look like probably Bob. Fourfish now into 4th, D Whitehouse in 5th. Bob 6th, Les is going backwards, he's now in 8th place. But straight down the inside to get back 6th. Shadow Stalker continues to lead this race in the Audi. He's now led 2 laps tonight. But he's got Jack behind him. Bruce Lee Harding under pressure from Fourfish into Druids. Side by side towards Graham Hill Bend. I think Fourfish will have to concede that one. Maybe look for a better line out of Graham Hill Bend. Good defensive driving though from Bruce as he goes into Surtees. Just positioning the car in the middle of the circuit, not allowing Fourfish through. Meanwhile, Shadow Stalker will come through to lead his 3rd lap of the night. 22 laps to go. And Bruce Lee Harding still fending off Fourfish. Next Gen Les is currently in 6th. Oh, that's Tim in the background. Tim off hard at Paddock Hill Bend. Looks like he clipped the grass, had a massive swapper on. And straight into the barrier. Bob right on the back of Fourfish now. He's starting to make a bit of a recovery drive. In the Audi. Meanwhile, Shadowstalker continues to lead this race. We have a DNF in the form of Tim. So, Shadowstalker leads 4 laps now. If Shadowstalker can lead 13 laps, could be a bit of an ass because Jack is not too far behind. Fourfish has managed to get a good run out of Paddock Hill Bend. Up the inside of Druids. Bruce Lee Harding, not a thing he can do about that. The 4-wheel drive system of the Nissan should get that away. Out of Druids in good nick. Fourfish revelling in that 4-wheel drive goodness. And that advantage is huge round here. It's interesting, Jack closing in on Shadowstalker. Up to the line, it's going to be Shadowstalker continues. He leads his 5th lap, but Jack down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. And Shadow not really defending it, but looking maybe for a bit of a run out of Paddock Hill Bend. Slightly early braking, looking for the switchback. Hasn't quite happened, and the Sierra Cosworth into the lead. Question is now, can Jack run away, or is Shadow going to keep with him? No, Shadow's gone wide at Graham Hill Bend. And for now, that'll quiet down that battle. Bruce Lee Harding has Bob behind. Again, Bob has that advantage of 4-wheel drive. D. Whitehouse on the back of Traumatic Dave. The battle of the Daves is back. Jack leads his 1st lap of the race. But D. Whitehouse looking for a way past Traumatic Dave. Down the Bradham straight we go. Good traction from D. Whitehouse initially, but the power of the Sierra takes over and takes Traumatic Dave away. D. Whitehouse clipping the gravel on the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. Just about getting away with it though. Meanwhile, Bruce Lee Harding continuing to fend off Bob Mark 1 for 4th place. As Jack will lead once again. .2 is the leading gap between Jack and Shadowstalker. Here's your battle for 7th place through Paddock Hill Bend, and Traumatic Dave looking to the outside. Sorry, Traumatic Dave defending to the inside. D. Whitehouse on the inside. Has D. Whitehouse? Yes, D. Whitehouse has just about kept his nose in around the outside into Graham Hill Bend. And the traction out of Druids. Enough to propel the Audi up into 7th place. But the battle for the wooden spoon continues. Well, Traumatic Dave a little bit sideways through Clark Curve there. And that's put a gap between him and D. Whitehouse 7. Lap 9 we go. And once again, Bruce Lee Harding continuing to keep the 4th place from Bob Mark 1. Fourfish is gaining on Shadowstalker as well, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. But a 48.7 for Fourfish. See, he's right on the tail now of Shadowstalker. Just half a second which round here really isn't a lot, but Shadowstalker's gone wide through Paddock Hill Bend, and Fourfish does not decline the invitation to go down the inside up into Druids. Should be done deal. And the number 12 Nissan GTR into second place, looking to chase down Jack. Bob's had an incident somewhere, looks like Paddock Hill Bend. He's now dropped to the back of the pack in his Audi, allowing NXTGEN lead clear air. Bob Mark 1 once again having to salvage his race, coming up to the back of Traumatic Dave. See the grip the Audi's got coming out of the corner, but the Ford's power unmatchable down the straight. So if Bob wants to do this, his best bet is coming out of Druids. But it's drifting from the pair of them through Paddock Hill Bend. But this is going to be the fight we're going to be having a look at shortly, because Fourfish is slowly but surely catching Jack, who's about to lead his 7th lap of the race. Into Druids they go, and Fourfish, just see the grip he's got compared to Jack. Jack's Sierra Cosworth, you can just tell how much more management on the throttle that Jack's having to do compared to the Nissan. Obviously the Nissan you can pretty much deck it a lot earlier. Jack a little bit more careful through Clark Curve, clipping the grass on the inside. Again, losing a bit more time to the GTR. And here comes Fourfish. Eight laps in the book for Jack for laps led. If he wants to take the bonus point, he has to lead another 5. That is always easier said than done. Let's go for a bit of onboard with Fourfish. Through Surtees on lap 14 then. With a just slightly different line, but not quite getting it right in my opinion. Just turning a bit too early to square the corner off. That's allowed Jack to get the power down, just to ease that gap open to about 9/10 of a second by the time they get to Paddock Hill Bend. As we head into lap 15, coming up to 3/5 of the way through this race already. Meanwhile, Bob Marquand's managed to get past Dramatic Dave and has stayed there for the time being. There's NXTGEN Les, who's starting to lose time now to Bruce Lee Harding, but DY7 is starting to catch him up. Back at the front though, the gap is half a second as Jack now leads his 10th lap. He needs 3 more in the book to claim that bonus point. And in theory, actually in theory, Jack just needs to get this one. If Jack can lead this lap, he will take the bonus point, because obviously 5 laps have gone to Shadow Stalker. So Jack only needs 11, because I only need 9 laps, and Jack will lead that 11th lap. He will be your bonus point for most laps led, in place of the pole position bonus point. But can he hang on? He's got 9 more laps to go. Meanwhile, Next Gen Les has company in the form of D Whitehouse 7. Look how close out he's getting with the traction out of Druids. And then look at the power of the Ford just pull away at the last minute. Meanwhile at the front it is still Jack who's leading. That's the 12th lap he's led. On board with 4Fish. How easy it is for 4Fish just to stay on the back of that Sierra through Druids. He's got a good run coming out of Graham Hill Bend, but once again the power of the Ford Sierra showing its strength. A bit of a slide through Surtees into Clark Curve. And again that concertina effect of the traction of the Nissan followed by the power of the Ford. Lap 13 for Jack led, so without even if Shadow Stalker hadn't have led those first 5 laps outright, Jack would have got the point anyway. Staying with the battle for the lead though. The battle for 5th has just tailed off a little bit. It's about a second between D Whitehouse and Next Gen Les. Good traction once again from 4Fish onto the Brabham Straight, but it's not going to be enough. Another lap to Jack. Jack is winning these battles at the moment, but will he win the war against the Nissan GTR? Because that car is probably the strongest in the field for tonight around this circuit. Shadowstalker's got company though for 3rd place. Bruce Lee Harding has managed to somehow catch him up, so maybe a little mistake from Shadowstalker. A 50.1 last round, definitely not what he has been doing this race. Back to the front because 4Fish is right on the tail of Jack coming through Clark Curve. Practically pushing the Ford before it hits the turbo phase. Jack comes across the line to start the final 5th of the race, the final 5 laps, and he's managed to build a slight gap now to 4Fish. But can Bruce Lee Harding take the final step of the podium? Collision between the two. Bruce Lee Harding went for the gap because Shadowstalker got a bit sideways, bit of side contact, and Bruce down to 6th place now because of that half spin. So half spin, pretty much a spin. Down to 6th he goes. 4Fish continuing to hound the back of that Ford Sierra Cosworth. And Jack not letting this go one bit. He's got 4 more laps to go. Les and D Whitehouse having a good tussle here over 4th place. into Druids, and Les is just about holding on at the moment. Question is, can Jack continue to hold on? Slightly different line for Fourfish. I don't think it's quite worked because he's had to control the car more than he would normally. Again, he's going to get a good run, but until the Ford pulls away again. Lap number 17 in the book for Jack in terms of laps led. Well, Les and DY House are a bit soft side-by-side action coming out of Clark Curve. But once again, the Ford showing its strength in the straight line, pulling it away from danger. Ford is probably the biggest tease of the whole grid here. Just get a run on it coming out of the corners, goes, nope, I will be pulling away from you. You will not be having this position today. Oh, contact between Les and DY House 7. DY House does not gain anything from that. Typical thing around Graham Hill Bend. And once again, Jack leads another lap, and Fourfish continues to stare at the Ford Sierra Cosworth. The number 91 will go. Oh, Bruce Lee Harding's gone round at Clark Curve. It's allowed Traumatic Dave on his tail now on the exit. It was looking like a promising race for Bruce Lee Harding. It's just kind of gone a bit backwards ever since that collision with Shadow Stalker. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead continues to rage on as they head on to the final lap of the race, and once again Jack will lead another lap, and Fourfish is going to be able to draw perfectly the back end of that Sierra Cosworth. DY House looking down the inside of Les out of Clark Curve. Once again Les pulls away with the power. Dramatic Dave followed by Bruce, followed by Bob Mark 1, but we're going to go to the front because this is the battle for the win. This is the final lap, lap 25, and Fourfish is as close as he's ever been. He's going to look to the inside. Down the Cooper Straight again, the Ford pulling itself out of trouble. And Fourfish is round. Fourfish has done a perfect drift into the GP loop. Bit too much curb. And it's going to allow Jack TM53 Synopsis to win at Brands Hatch Indy with 20 laps led of the 25. I would say dominant display. A great display of defensive driving. Fourfish comes home in second. Shadow Stalker will get a third place, a podium for him, a great drive. DY House 7 comes home in fourth. Les has obviously made a mistake somewhere. He's in fifth. Bruce Lee Harding manages to get past Traumatic Dave for sixth place. Traumatic Dave 7th, and Bob Mark 1 rounds us out in 8th place. So, the final provisional results. Jack TM53 Synopsis wins here from Fourfish, Shadow Stalker, DY House 7, Next Gen Les, Bruce Lee, Traumatic Dave, Bob Mark 1, and Tim, who retired after completing 3 laps of the race. Maybe just too much damage to continue. The big question, where are we next week for the Group A1? So the PowerMax Group A1 Tours head to Bathurst in the Ford Sierra Cosworth. It's a mighty round, very difficult, and I'm sure it's going to be one of those day to night races. So it's going to be a fantastic one to look at. So do join us next week for that one. And here's Jack. Congratulations, sir.
Oh, wow, what a race.
I can confirm as well, you also get the most laps led bonus with 20 laps led in your name.
Brilliant, what a result. So I'm just speaking with Fourfish then, just wow. I mean, he was so much quicker from Graham Hill Bend to the final corner. It was ridiculous. I know on the last lap he tried and he got a good run, and I don't know if he clipped the curb or something, whatever happened. But what to tell you what, Shadow Stalker, wow, what a result for him! First ever podium. That's amazing. I'm so happy for him.
It was a cracking race, and Fourfish, I think he did clip the curb and done a perfect drift into the GP loop, apart from the fact that it was barried off. But next week is Bathurst, 40-hour Cosworth, your favourite.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hell of a race. I'm assuming it's a day-night race.
It will be.
Or
night day, depending on how I feel.
So at one point the conditions will be cold.
It'll probably be day-night, yeah, that's it.
So do join us next week for that one. That's going to be an absolute hell of a race. It normally is. Throws up all sorts of carnage and surprise winners and surprise podium people. I believe that's where Fourfish got his first podium. Was at Bathurst. Next up will be the Paramax TC V8 League from Brands Hatch GP. So we're staying at the same venue. We're opening the circuit up to its bigger brother. So do join us for that in about 10 minutes time. That stream will be live. Anything to add, Jack?
Just see you next week. Congratulations to Shadow Stalker if you're watching. Well done, really, really great result. Really chuffed for him.
There you go. From myself and everyone here, we'd like to thank Paramax for sponsoring the league. It's obviously fantastic things to have on board. And thank you guys for watching tonight. Again, do join us next week for more Group A1 action. Stay tuned for touring car action. But for myself, Jack, and everyone here, thank you for watching. Good night.